It's Monday today. It's Monday. Parshas Behar B'chikoisai Yid Zayin Iyar Tuvshin Pai Vov. My name is Gershy Schwarcz and I'm here with the news of the last 72 hours plus on Edge. May 4th, 2026. It's Monday today.
Your daily report of the news of the last 24 hours. Powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.
Ha-yoim shnaim shloishim yoim shamarbu shaviyas v'arbu yomim lu'oimen neitzach shebe hoid. It's Monday today. You know what tonight is? Tonight is time to get a haircut. It's Lag B'omer, that too. Exciting. On Friday, I forgot to start with Agit Erev Shabbos, Agit Yom Tov, because it was Pesach Shiny, for those of you who didn't know, and I truly apologize if you didn't realize it was Pesach Shiny. At least I told you it was Shabbos, so someone to rely on, right? Anyway, Loma Nigura. All right, Mayor Giuliani's in hospital, and Iran is playing with Trump's patience. Therefore, it's Monday today, and Trump started a new operation. First it was Operation Epic Fury, and now it's Operation Project Freedom on the Strait of Hormuz. A shooting at an Oklahoma party leaves 12 injured, and a plane, United Airlines, landed at Newark Airport flying a little bit too low, just a little bit, and it hit a New Jersey bakery truck and a lighting pole and injured its driver. Trump wants to release top-secret government files about aliens. All that in today's news on Edge. Today's sponsor is Ring and Go. We'll talk about him soon. But first, Trump has been very active on Truth Social. Over the weekend, he posted 11 times in just 42 minutes. One post that caught everyone's eye showed a military helicopter with custom paint job. On the side of the grey metal, someone painted a bold black silhouette of Donald J. Trump's face. Sunglasses inside each lens, 45 and 47, are printed. Representing, obviously, as you know, his 2 terms as president, right? And just below that, in huge black letters, the number of the aircraft, 4547. Steist. Also, another post, a photo of Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries with nothing saying there, but him standing with a bat inside his office, a big bat. And this morning, well, the Daily Beast is saying that his latest round of posts look like a complete breakdown. A new report also found that one out of every 3 of the Truth Social posts goes up in the middle of the night. Bekitzer Amaisa, we have a lot more posts to go through, like a post right now that came out that Trump made America $45 billion in just 8 months. A picture Trump posted recently shows a big difference between the US and Iran. On the top row, it shows Donald Trump standing next to a picture of him. Now, you know his famous picture, the one that they took of him, the mugshot picture, that one? Yeah, standing next to US Navy ships, fighter jets, and missile defense systems from the US. Everything intact, everything fully loaded, labeled as 100% working. The bottom half shows Iran. Well, it has a picture of the late Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, with a big red X on it, showing that he's dead. Next to him, obviously, well, there are pictures of the fighter jets and the Iranian Navy ships on fire, destroyed, and the defense building also destroyed. All 3 have big red X's on them and labeled as destroyed, as you can imagine. Now, I promised my daughter a new camera for Afikoyman. I didn't have the patience to wait for Amazon, so, you go on Amazon and searching all that. I want to speak to a human sometimes. I just pick up the phone, and I don't want to strain my eyes looking on devices and computers and the stuff, so I just call Ring and Go, and I also need a new kosher home phone device, so I didn't have the time and patience to also find out what service I need. You just call Ring and Go, the barcode below. You just call them on the number below, mention on Edge, and they'll give you a special gift with every purchase if you mention on Edge. Now, might I say the number is 347-480-7455. And the number WhatsApp, call, text 347-480-7455 or scan the barcode below. Say mention on Edge. Go to ringandgo.us. Okay, ring in and go.us and get yourself the devices, cameras, whatever you need. And a fun place to be at, a fun place to shop. It gets delivered faster than Amazon, by the way. A supposedly fun celebration quickly turned into a nightmare last night. During a large weekend party near Arcadia Lake in Oklahoma, someone fired gunshots at a guest, leaving 12 people injured. The shooting happened late last night during a gathering of many young people called a Sunday Fun Day party. Police said they arrived after reports of gunfire and helped take victims to the hospital. No suspects have been arrested yet, and police are still investigating what caused the shooting and who was involved. The US Navy will now escort ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz. That's part of Trump's Project Freedom, which he announced via Truth Social yesterday, out of his many, many posts. Now, before we go further, just a quick reminder about why Trump's posts matter. Every time Trump posts something on Truth Social, it's not just a social media message. It often becomes official policy. It moves markets. It changes what countries do. So when we tell you Trump posted on Truth Social, It's not just small talk, that's actually the news. And as you know, the Strait of Hormuz is still blocked from both the Iranians, who are still planting bombs under the sea, and the Americans, who are blockading it around and around, obviously. A blockade on the blockade. Since hundreds of ships are stranded there, the US is now moving in to get them out. Trump will use more than 100 aircraft and 15,000 people for this task. Their goal is to guide ships safely through the Strait of Hormuz. However, it's not going to be a full escort. US Navy ships will only tell captains which lanes are safe versus which lanes have Iranian bombs in it, like the mines, right? According to the latest instructions, ships should sail south of the old traffic lanes closer to the Omani coast. If Iranian ships attack, US warships will be ready to defend, and exactly that happened. Thanks to this announcement, Americans and their ally countries will see immediate relief at the gas pump. That's what Trump says. And since we're talking about Project Freedom, here are 2 fresh posts from Trump on Through Social this morning that you need to hear. First post, Trump wrote that Iran has been taking shots at ships from countries that have nothing to do with this whole conflict. He specifically called out a South Korean cargo ship that got hit. And then, in a typical Trump fashion, he turned it into a recruitment message. He said, maybe it's time for South Korea to come and join the fight. He also reported that the US has already shot down 7 small Iranian boats, the kind Iran likes to call fast boats. Trump's take, in his words, that's all they have left. Fast little boats. He also gave some good news other than South Korean ship. No ship has been damaged so far. People haven't been damaged passing through the strait. And he has announced that Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, who were, by the way, last week at a hearing answering to the Democrats why they need so much money, will be holding a press conference tomorrow morning. So we'll have more details on that also, Ezra Samisburg tomorrow. Second post, Trump made it very, very clear what happens if Iran tries to target American ships in the area. His exact words, if the Iranians try to target US ships in the area, they will, quote, be blown off the face of the earth. End quote. That's not diplomatic language. That's a warning, direct, simple, and not open to interpretation. Iran is strongly against US involvement in the Strait of Hormuz, obviously. A senior Iranian official said that what the US is doing will be considered a violation of the ceasefire. Aside from saying that they will not allow Israeli ships to pass, he explained that the strait will not be managed by what he called, quote, Trump's delusional posts. He said Iran will decide the right of passage, including permission for vessels to pass through the strait. This is his words, by the way. Still, Iran is feeling generous. It has put on a 3-stage proposal on the table, and it says, proposed it to the US and says this could permanently end the war. Last week, we reported that the US did not accept their proposal. This week, Trump said, well, it's not acceptable, and that Iran has not yet paid a high enough price for the murderous and terrible terror that they brought onto the world and to their own people. At this point, nuclear weapons are still not on the negotiating table either. Macron is getting scared because his election is coming up in 2027, so he said, we are friends with the Iranians, we have nothing to do with the Iranians, we don't want to fight with them, but we love them. Anyway, even with all this negativity, Trump is still saying that his representatives are having, quote, very positive discussions with Iran. Ironically, top Iranian officials are telling a whole different story, though. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry said, America's demands are excessive and unreasonable. Meanwhile, a senior Iranian parliament official says publicly, quote, the US needs to sit down and think. The way with the least damage is to accept the 10 conditions of the Islamic Republic. That's what they say. He went further, saying, negotiations with Iran are no longer about solving a problem. In his words, the US needs to reach an agreement with a power resolution. Now, Iran has not publicly released what those 10 conditions are, actually, so we don't know. While diplomats are going back and forth with offers and counter-offers, it's clear that Iran is playing both sides of the table and not hiding it, obviously. A top-level meeting happened in Tehran that brought together Iran's top military commanders, parliament, leadership, and the Iranian president and foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi. The whole meeting was about war and not even peace, by the way. But here is what makes it even more striking. Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi himself, has now said it out he said it very, in his words, out loud. Iran is, in his words, prepared for war, but ready to negotiate. That's not a slip, that's a strategy. This is the same man, you know what ceasefire means, couldn't call cease, so we should be able to fire. They reload and fire. This is the same man who has been sitting across the table from the United States in nuclear talks, which he says are focused exclusively on nuclear issue. Meanwhile, the United States, the White House, has been signaling that Washington wants a way out of this entire standoff without military conflict, but the negotiations have not yet included nuclear. Trump, for his part, has been pairing deal talk with war threats, which means both sides are negotiating with one eye on the exit and the other eye on the battlefield. The message from Tehran tells you everything about what Iran is really thinking about. Talk, yes, but prepare for the alternative as well. The US is also arguing about what to call this whole situation with Iran. For legal purposes. The acting Attorney General is standing behind Trump, saying he is acting within the law. And what's happening right now is a military operation and not a war. He pointed to the relative quiet in the region, saying there have been no hostilities and no exchange of fire in almost a month, except for now defending ourselves, obviously, with these little fast boats shooting them down. But not everyone is buying it. Members of the Senate and the House are now openly pushing back on that claim. They say Trump swore. They say the legal clock on the use of military force is running out, and Congress wants a say. Well, you have to understand that Trump's 60-day thingy has expired almost, but the truth is he can still submit something called a certification for another 30 days, just saying, without getting Congress involved. He has to sign it and send it to Congress, but let them know what he's doing anyway. Meanwhile, at sea, the US has begun efforts to guide stranded ships out of the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump is still facing pressure to send ground troops into the region. So far, he said no, but with Congress pushing back and the situation at sea still unresolved, that pressure doesn't appear to be going away anytime soon. So, even though there is no official war, 11 US Air Force refueling planes are in the Middle East right now. That is an unusually high number. What does this mean? Well, refueling planes help fighter jets and bombers fly together farther away and stay in the air longer. If many of them are flying at the same time, it usually means a lot of warplanes aren't already in the air, or they are ready to take off very quickly. No specific operation has been announced besides Operation Project Freedom, which seems like just transiting ships out of the ocean safely. Well, it seems that the US doesn't need to do anything for now, because 14 Iranian soldiers were killed yesterday after trying to remove old unexploded bombs in their own country. The explosion happened in an area called Zanjan, an area of Iran, but the government didn't share much information about that. Rudy Giuliani is in hospital, my friends. Let's pivot a little bit to that, but we'll go back to Iran soon, which is something very interesting. Wait for that. Rudy Giuliani is in hospital. In critical condition, but stable condition, they say. He's 81 years old. He was Trump's friend, and he was a mayor. He was a great mayor, by the way. His spokesman announced on Sunday evening and didn't say exactly what caused the hospitalization, but said Giuliani is a fighter who has faced every challenge with his life with unwavering strength, and he's fighting with that same strength right now. President Trump responded Sunday night on Truth Social with a very warm post, and a long one. In this one, he's exactly said that he said the following. He called Giuliani a true warrior and the best mayor in the history of New York City by far, short, direct, and from the heart. And Giuliani served as New York City mayor from 1994 to 2001. Before that, he was the top federal prosecutor in New York during the 1980s. He earned the nickname America's Mayor for his strong leadership after September 11th attacks. And later, in the later years, he became one of Trump's closest allies and joined Trump's legal team in 2018. Many in our community remember Mayor Giuliani very well. He was a friend to the frum world and to Israel. And we wish him a refuah shalema. All right, the United States is planning to send aid, food and medicine into the Gaza Strip. That's just on one condition. Hamas needs to give up its weapons. Palestinian groups reject this plan and say they want a clear political plan first before talking about removing their weapons now. There are three different positions on the table. Some Israeli military leaders want to start fighting again. The US supports aid in exchange for giving up weapons, and Palestinian groups refuse the plan entirely. It looks like the ceasefire is still in place, but it's hanging by a thread again, just like in Lebanon, right? Political runner-up and former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, who is currently challenging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, had some strong words regarding the situation in Gaza. He warned that there are 30,000 Hamas fighters who are rearming and growing in numbers every single day, in large numbers, he says. Bennett says, quote, "The days of writing off our enemies as weak, those days are over." He explained that while the US doesn't need to send in its own soldiers, Israel needs America's support. In his words, "We Israelis are 10 million boots on the ground. This aircraft carrier, called Israel, is not going anywhere. We do need America to have our back." He compared Israel to an aircraft carrier. Israeli forces in the northern Gaza killed a Hamas terrorist on Sunday, according to military intelligence. He was responsible for launching rockets into Israel throughout the current war. Meanwhile, in southern Gaza, soldiers also killed a second terrorist today after he approached their position. By the way, that terrorist positions himself and took a selfie of himself posing like Yahya Sinwar, and they killed him. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to senior Israeli Defense Forces officers this week and made two main points. On Iran, he said the government is afraid that Israel could weaken it through economic pressure, not only military attacks. On the Gaza Strip, he warned that if no other country helps remove weapons from the area, Israel may act alone to do it. Later, Netanyahu's security team met for over 4 hours in Jerusalem to talk about secret meetings about Iran and the nuclear talks with the United States. The IDF blew up a waterfront restaurant on southern Lebanese coast called Al Safina, Sfina. Locals call it the boat, Sfina, right? And it had been open about 10 years and was connected to Hezbollah. Meanwhile, Israeli army engineers also blew up an 80-meter tunnel, I think we reported it already, in the eastern southern Lebanon. It was about 160 feet underground and had multiple rooms. Engineers checked the tunnel carefully before obviously bringing it down. Soldiers from the Givati Brigade killed 2 Hezbollah gunmen right in the area. To summarize, several thousand Hezbollah fighters have been killed since March the 2nd. This estimate comes from 3 sources, including the Hezbollah officials themselves. Now Hezbollah is also trying to fight back. They have fired rockets and drones and UAVs at Israeli soldiers in southern Lebanon, but the IDF said no one was hurt. Hezbollah also released a video from the Bin Jabil area, dated April 13th, showing small guided explosive drones, the kind a pilot flies while wearing special goggles, like DJI has. However, Israel found a simple solution. They put up nets, fishing nets, special nets, since the drones would hit something very soft and they wouldn't explode. They also fired a rocket-propelled grenade and opened fire with guns during the funeral of 4 of their fighters. This happened in Beirut's southern neighborhood, and several people were obviously hurt and some killed. Israel has approved a massive defense deal to expand its air force. The plan includes buying more F-35 stealth jets, those jets that fly, with special powder-coated stuff that hide them from radars and stuff. Somebody asked about the bombs, right? How are they stealth? Are they also covered with coat? No, the bombs are usually concealed inside the actual jet. It opens up from a compartment, so the actual compartment is also covered with the same material. And F-15 fighter jets as well included in that package. When combined, Israel can use those to make their air power much stronger or fly invisibly during sensitive operations. And Benjamin Netanyahu also included a new announcement about a special aeroplane that could change the face of war, about Air Force, about, change the idea of battling a fighting enemy in the air. The total cost is about 350 billion shekels. They haven't announced more details about this special plane or something, but whatever. Anyway, the total cost of this operation is 350 billion shekels and almost $190 billion in US. The government said that this decision came after lessons learned from recent fighting with Iran. Officials said the plan was made so Israel can strengthen its air force without having to choose between the 2 types of aircrafts. When finished, Israel will have one of the largest stealth jet fleets in the world, even larger than America. Well, almost larger than America, not really. Thousands are ignoring the Lag BaOmer cancellation at Meron this year, Lag BaOmer tonight, even though the Israeli police have cancelled the annual event due to security concerns. They're concerned that Hezbollah may fire rockets at the location while people are davening there. They are cutting through fences and climbing the mountain and gearing themselves up, coming there with pepper spray, preparing for some fights. Boys, I will keep you posted. Hope nothing happens. Hope nothing bad happens. Anyway, people will be smart. Security forces in Jerusalem stopped a group last Friday, Pesach Shiny, that tried to bring a young goat as their Passover sacrifice. I have to laugh about this joke. People are serious, huh? They brought a carbon Pesach to the Temple Mount. People spotted several young men carrying the goat and moving towards the entrance of the site. They stopped them before they could even go inside. The goat was taken away, and the people were arrested for questioning by Israeli police. All right, now. 4 Palestinians have been officially charged with planning a series of attacks inspired by ISIS across Israel. They were watching Islamic State, like ISIS videos, how to make weapons, to construct them and to fire them, and also learned how to build special bombs. And their planned targets included Damascus Gate in Jerusalem and also the Jewish community of Kiryat Arba, which is near Hebron. All 4 have now been brought to court and formally charged. A tanker was struck by an unknown projectile near Fujairah, in the United Arab Emirates, UAE. According to maritime safety officials, all crew members are safe, with no injuries or oil spills reported. The UK Maritime Safety Agency issued a warning about the attack earlier today. Now, that's not all that happened. The UAE Ministry of Defense also confirmed that Iran launched a much larger attack on the country. 12 ballistic missiles, 3 cruise missiles, and 4 drones. All of them were engaged and intercepted. 3 people suffered moderate injuries, according to the Indian embassy in the UAE. This is part of a growing pattern Iran has been targeting ships and energy infrastructure of the Gulf for months now, even through the ceasefire. And major oil companies have even stopped sending their tankers through the Strait of Hormuz altogether. The waterway, the Strait of Hormuz, that handles a huge portion of the world's oil supply, you have to remember, and right now, it is anything but safe. The United Arab Emirates and Israel are no longer just friendly neighbors. They are now working together as real partners. On the ground, Channel 12 in Israel is reporting that the UAE has made a clear decision to deepen its connection with Israel, and they want their diplomatic relationship to become an actual cooperation. The report describes the UAE as Israel's closest Arab partner today, with no other Arab country coming close. And now we know just how real the partnership is. Now, during the height of the Iran conflict, Israel quietly rushed an Iron Dome system and an actual Israeli soldiers into the UAE to help protect from Iranian missiles and drones, which happened today. As you can see, Israel also sent a laser air defense system. This is new. And today, that system was put to the actual test, a reality. It intercepted a real Iranian missile fired at the UAE. And one of part of those 12 ballistic missiles and the drones and everything was shot down by that laser or by the Iron Dome. We'll get the reports tomorrow. Over the weekend, Trump posted on Truth Social about the number of soldiers that will soon leave Germany. And again, when Trump posts, things happen. He says, we are going to we'll cut it way down, and we're cutting a lot further than only 5,000 soldiers, he says. The announcement is now getting strong criticism. The leaders of the House and Senate Armed Services Committee said that even an early withdrawal could make the West weaker against Russia. If the cuts become higher, that's only going to bring more trouble. Now, here is the background. Tension between the US and Germany started from a Truth Social post. After German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said Iran is humiliating, quotes, right, the United States. Trump was very angry at that post. So he posted back and the whole thing. Anyway, we already reported it. Despite Trump's recent announcement, Chancellor Friedrich Merz responded, quote, I will not give up on transatlantic relations. I will not give up. I'm working closely with Donald J. Trump. He basically apologized, in other words, saying that he will still work with Trump. He's not angry at him for saying what he said. What we're hearing now, he said, is not a new thing. It's just more dramatic. The U.S. regularly moves its troops around the world, and there's still over 30,000 American soldiers in Germany right now. So, if you're worried, I wouldn't be. But Chancellor Merz also had something very important to say. He said, let's go back. What did he say? Listen.
Und wer jüdisches Leben in Deutschland angreift, greift unsere Gesellschaft an und greift unsere Demokratie an. Deutschland hat eine historische Verpflichtung, dieses Leben in Deutschland zu schützen. Und die CDU ist wie keine zweite Partei in Deutschland diesem Auftrag innerlich fest verbunden. Und das ist der Grund dafür, dass wir heute hier sind. Und noch einmal herzlichen Dank.
So, I'm sure you understand it because it's in Yiddish. I'm joking. It's Deutsch. Deutsch hat eine Verpflichtung, zusammen bekischt. Anyway, Chancellor Merz also had something very important to say, and I'm going to repeat myself again because I don't know if you understood it before, because I started before the video. Something very important to say, and he said the following. He said, at a press briefing next to the Chabad rabbi there, Jewish life in Germany is more threatened than it has been in a long time since the war, obviously, and we are seeing a sharp rise of criminal offences, assaults, and anti-Semitic graffiti against Jews. We stand fully and without any restriction behind the Jewish women and men living in Germany. Those are very strong words from the leader of Germany. All right. London's top police chief says British Jews are facing the greatest threat in living memory. The head of the Metropolitan Police described Jews as caught in the center of what he called a ghastly Venn diagram of hate. They are being targeted by the far right and the far left and Islamist extremists in England all at once. He is asking the government for an additional 300 officers dedicated to specifically protecting the Jewish community. £78 billion, that is the size of European Union loan program for Ukraine. Now, Britain wants to join, even after it left the EU in 2020 in Brexit. Now, the United Kingdom, led by Prime Minister Keir Starmer, so far, is now considering joining the loan program. Because the UK left the EU in 2020, it must make a separate agreement to join any EU funding plan. Talks are just starting and no deal has been signed yet. Now, Ukrainian drones attacked two major Russian oil ports over the weekend again. At the first port, drones hit oil facilities and Russian warships. At the second port, several oil tankers were damaged while carrying oil, and the loading area was also struck. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky said that the aim is to reduce, obviously, Russia's income from oil and to basically do what America is doing to the Iranians right now. The attacks also caused oil spills and environmental damage at sea, though Russia has not fully confirmed the total damage. At the same time, Russian attacks on Ukraine killed 10 people on different areas. A United Airlines flight arriving from Venice, Italy, had a frightening incident while landing at Newark Liberty International Airport on Sunday. I guess he didn't realize how low he was flying. United Flight 169, it's just by a question of a few seconds. He said, you can land now. Okay, you can land now. He starts landing. He doesn't realize, obviously, or the flight crew didn't realize, the pilot didn't realize how low he was actually descending, which is a very, very important thing when it comes to control towers. So, yeah. Trump wants to change and overhaul this entire control tower, measuring flight safety and wind and all that, knowing exactly when he's supposed to lower it, to how much he's supposed to lower himself by descending, so he doesn't obviously hit trucks. I always am scared when I go past the highway, New Jersey Turnpike, we often see very low flying aircrafts. They fly right past the turnpike to land on the runway, the following runway right next to us. So there's a certain distance they can go, obviously, and this one, I guess, didn't work for them. The United Airlines Flight 169, carrying 221 passengers, flew dangerously low over the New Jersey Turnpike on its approach to the airport, striking a light pole and then clipping a tractor-trailer on the highway below. Dashcam video from the tractor-trailer captured how the driver was singing. In the dramatic moment happened as it unfolded, the truck driver suffered minor injuries and was taken to hospital. Thankfully, there were no reports of injuries among the passengers or the crew on board, but that was a shocking image to see, my friends. A plane landing so low. It was so scary to see. Anyway, yeah. All right, let's continue. A new poll says many Jewish people in New York City are unhappy with Mayor Zohran Mamdani. He says because his way of handling anti-Semitism. The survey found that 82% of Jewish voters, think he is doing a bad job, including some people who actually voted for him. Only about 1/3 said that he's doing a good job. Very, very good job, actually. So the poll also showed mixed opinions overall, with some calling his work average and others calling it poor. At the same time, anti-Semitic hate crimes in New York City, might I say, rose by 11.7% in this year alone, since January, since he took office. A group of Jewish people in Toronto was shot at from a moving car this weekend. The weapon was a gel blaster, a toy-like gun that shoots tiny, small water pellets at high speed, and it hurts. It hurts, and some people were actually hurt. Jewish community groups in Canada say these kind of incidents are happening more often and should be taken seriously. Police have not yet made any arrests. A professor at the University of Norway facing strong criticism after comments about the October 7th attack in Israel. The professor said the Hamas attack was, quote, the most beautiful thing that happened to us in our century. He also said he believes Israel wants to control the Western countries. His comments caused outrage, but Norwegian authorities have not yet said if he will face any punishment. A Boeing 747, gifted by Qatar to the United States, is now ready to fly President Trump as Air Force One. The U.S. Air Force announced Friday night that upgrades and testing on the Qatari plane are complete. Trump is expected to begin flying on it later this summer. The plane is a temporary replacement, while the two new official Air Force One jets, which Boeing has been building for years now, are still not finished. Trump posted on Truth Social that he will release more government files about unidentified flying objects, or what many people call aliens. Alien spaceships. And remember, when Trump posts something, it means something, So he said the documents could be very interesting and may include information about life beyond our planet. Many people are excited about the topic, and others are skeptical and believe the files will not show anything unusual. The former head of the U.S. government's UFO investigation office said, well, he's former for that reason, and that's why he can say it, there is no evidence of secret contacts with aliens. He explained that military cameras can sometimes show strange-looking images because of the certain ways the camera technology works. He warned people not to expect big discoveries, saying the renewed interest in UFO files is really just a distraction from bigger issues. He's either saying it because he has to. So there you have it. If you want to believe it, if you don't believe it, it's up to you. If you want to believe in little green men or not, the files are coming. Maybe we'll find out if there's something out there, maybe not. Either way, only Hashem knows, and people are always trying to know what's out there. That's why, with the Mechava 8 from Yiddish and English, you don't have to always know. Menschele, bist dich Tacke auf der Welt doch heilig. Aber wissen sollst die, als die bist not, zeitweilig. Why do you have to know? Don't ask questions. You want to know what's going on? Curious. I'm also curious. If you see it, you say it. If you don't know, you don't know. Next, my great aunt. I called her Auntie Rivka. Auntie Rivka Uleo Shulam. She passed away yesterday. What a sad story that is for me, because I knew her and she was my great aunt, my grandfather's sister. Her name was Rivka Stern. Auntie Rivka Stern. Rebbetzin Rivka Stern, I would call her. What a special neshama she was, a special person she was. She suffered in Auschwitz. She was a 12-year-old girl. Her name is Muras Rivka Bas Rebbe Nachem Gershon. I'm named after him, her father. She sadly passed away yesterday in Antwerp, and she was my grandfather's sister, like I said. She suffered, a 12-year-old girl suffered the brutalities in Auschwitz, and she actually met face-to-face with Mengele, and she there's a whole interview about her, how she describes her time in Auschwitz, and she said that, life was good. She always said life was great. She always thanked Hashem for life. Doesn't make a difference through those times. In Auschwitz, in the bitter camp, she saw the most horrendous stuff, and she said, life was good because Hashem wanted it to be this way. This is how it was, and she kept on going with a faith like this. Unbelievable. May her neshama have an aliyah, and may her memory be a blessing to all of us. And that's Protobite 347-354-1237. Your genius is in designing custom-made software or websites for your company, so you don't have to be busy wasting your time on AI. YS Capital Group for your loans and services. If you want to borrow some money for an investment, YS Capital 718-831-2168. Arrive Express 845-622-1111 and 845-254-1111. Your Arrive Express taxi. They're the most verlässliche taxi I know. Okay, my friends, I want to wish you all a wonderful day and a wonderful Lag Boimer. We'll see each other Bezrem's Road tomorrow.
Your daily report of the news of the last 24 hours, powered by Yiddish24, provided to you by The Click.